Anyway, I couldn't help myself. I get a little bit dressed up for it. I already did a video on this motion detector, the motion tracker prop. So we're gonna set that aside. I know already. I already showed you all that. But this, yeah, this is the highlight of this little video here. And actually, what I need to look up is the people that I got this from. Right? You see this, the earpiece section. This is where this was actually purchased, right? So I had to purchase that and the actual camera piece. Let me look this up real quick for you. Let me see. Should be on here somewhere. Here he is. Good, I found it. Very quick. So, a quick shout out before I begin kind of showing all this. Let me kind of fix the height here that I'm at. Camera's a little off. There we go. It's a little better. But quick shout out to those who actually made the earpiece and the mic, right, as well as the little camera piece. This is Mooncrest Models Sci-Fi and Fantasy. They're apparently over in Britain. So I will say, for us over here in the States, when I ordered this, it took a while to actually get here, because you have to consider all the international mailing and all that, and the different customs rules and things of that nature. But it was pretty good. I'm quite satisfied with the camera, the earpiece, and everything, except down here. Right down here where this is attached. If you put too much pressure on this, then the attachment point right between the actual mic piece and the arm, this is very, very weak. Hopefully, maybe someone comes across this and they work with those guys over there in Britain. In fact, maybe I should actually send them a message. But there were a couple of times where I just had this on a stand, right? I would maybe brush past it when I'm reaching for something else, and it snapped. And, with not really putting much force on it. So that's the only thing I really have a problem with, is that it's very sensitive right in there. Like, I actually have to glue it back on, The little pieces have come off. I mean, it's still attached, obviously, but barely. But yeah, it came out pretty well. Now, what I had to do is, this is an actual M1 helmet, an actual antique that I found at my local antique store. And I have a particular rule that's very specific. Again, some people may disagree. That's your prerogative. Okay? But when it comes to an antique being used in the sense of a prop, well, one, the movie itself, that's what they used. They used a bunch of they used a bunch of leftover M1 helmets in the making of the movie itself, so I figured, why not do the same and be a bit more authentic? But more importantly, is if I can find a story connected to the piece, I'm not going to change the piece. I'm going to try to preserve that as is. But with this, I couldn't find any information out. I mean, even just asking the people at the actual antique store, they didn't know anything about it. It was just something dropped off in a massive, bundle of, some guy had a family member or somebody that passed away, and this was just one of the many things just dropped off, right, and sold in a massive bundle. They don't really know anything about it. And there were no real markings on here to tell anything. The only thing, and I can't find anything about it, is there's a little bit of writing in here. A very small amount of writing. And it's barely legible. I can't even begin to tell you what it could say. It was some sort of pencil writing or something. It looks like maybe a DRB, and then everything else is gone. So, to be honest, there's no story here, unfortunately. And one man's loss is another man's gain, I guess you could say. Now, what I had to do, let's actually go into the technical sides of this, is I've had to purchase a number of things. The helmet itself, the earpiece and camera, we've already gone over. There's not much there to tell. So, starting here at the front, okay, I would just attach a simple piece of EVA foam and fold it over the edge, glue it down, give it a nice, clean sealant around the edge. Same with the camera. So what I would often do is I would glue the two faces together, and then I would also put glue around the edge. I did that for all of these pieces. Now, the most important thing was here. This, since it swivels, and the helmet naturally kind of flared out at the very bottom, what I had to end up doing is I had to strip away. I took my grinder with a wire wheel, and I stripped the paint, right, in this area. Because what I then had to do, and again, when you're doing that, please wear some sort of respiration. This paint is old and may contain lead. I cannot stress that enough. But doing that, I then heated it and had to pound it flat. So this side, you can kind of tell, compared to that, has been flattened. And then from there, the even more painful process was drilling 2 holes so that I could rivet this onto there. So that on top of the glue, I have the rivets. It's an extra layer of, structural integrity. A similar headache occurred in the back, where here I had to cut. This wasn't as bad, but again, still, I took off the paint to avoid any potential fire hazards and that sort of thing. Because I then took a cutting wheel and just cut slots into the helmet. That way I could put these Velcro straps through this thicker 10mm EVA foam. From there, and I see this in hindsight, my base green was a little too light, in my opinion. Because I then painted all of this, except, of course, the metal components and the camera. I covered that in painter's tape, but I painted it all in that first shade of lighter, sort of olivey green. From there, I had 3 different paints. I had this dark hunter green, this really bold Hulk green, and a brown. What I did is, you can basically look up any sort of camo pattern on Google, and you can print it out, okay? Print out, I would say, 3 or 4 sheets of the same pattern. And what you're going to want to do with that is take the shapes, okay? So you have your pattern, and I pick all the brown shapes. Well, I'm going to cut all those out. On the next sheet, I'm going to pick all the tan or the whatever and cut those out. On the next sheet, pick out the green ones and cut those out. That way each one will have a separate cutout pattern. What I did then is I just simply laid them on at different intervals and would spray the respective color. And that's how you get this. There is probably a better way of doing it, but that's literally just something I came up with on the fly and rolled with it. And I think it came out pretty good for a first attempt, in my honest opinion. And that's actually about it. Surprisingly, there's not too much to tell. Yeah, really just purchased the helmet, purchased the foam, the earpiece, and the pre-made plastic parts, and found a weekend to throw it all together. Oh yes, the chin strap. This, I would just search your military surplus stores and find a Cold War era chin strap. The ones that have a little hook and ball clip that'll clip together real nice. And it's fabric, not leather. That is what I would recommend for that. Also, again, what I think is real nice, is this screw was actually part of the mic assembly. What I did is once I got this, I punched a hole through the fabric and then took this screw out and basically just drove it back in, so it's just layered on right in place. The hole already existed there, might as well use it, and it brings it together quite nicely. Now I just gotta finish the chest piece and everything for the smart gun. It's a whole nother story for another time. So for what it's worth, I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and be looking forward to that smart gun presentation. I'm working on it. It just takes forever because of all the little switches and things. So yeah, that'll be something in the future that I'll put out eventually. Until next time. Peace.